In the quiet shadows of the city, beneath the buzz of neon lights and the hum of traffic, a boy named Ethan tried to stay warm. He was only 12, yet life had already stolen his childhood. His bed was the cold concrete sidewalk, his blanket, thin cardboard. Hunger was an old friend, loneliness, an ever-present ghost. People passed him by, some with hurried steps, others with pitying glances, but none stopped. To the world, he was invisible. Just another statistic in a city too busy to care. But inside Ethan lived a different reality, one built on dreams. Every night, as the cold bit into his skin, he whispered to himself, "One day, I'll matter. One day, I'll be more than this." The night was biting cold. The kind of cold that made your bones ache and your breath feel like shards of glass. In the heart of the city, surrounded by honking cars, fast footsteps, and glowing billboards, a small boy, no more than 12, curled up in the corner of an alleyway. His name was Ethan. He wore a tattered hoodie, 2 sizes too big, and old sneakers that had more holes than fabric. The blanket wrapped around him was more cardboard than cloth. His skin had long since forgotten the feeling of warmth. His stomach, long since numb to hunger, rumbled quietly. Around him, life moved quickly. People laughed as they walked past the alley. Lovers held hands. Families carried takeout boxes and talked about their weekend plans. No one noticed the boy in the dark. No one ever did. But Ethan noticed them. Every person who walked by. Every face. Every coat. Every pair of shoes. And every night, he whispered to himself a little promise. One day, I'll matter. I'll wear good shoes. I'll have warm hands. And someone will smile at me. It was a Tuesday. Cold, grey, and unremarkable, until she appeared. Her name was Sophia. She walked like poetry, graceful, effortless. Her hair, long and chestnut brown, fluttered in the breeze. Her eyes, a deep shade of hazel, carried warmth, real warmth, not the kind that fades with a smile, but the kind that stays with you, like sunlight on winter skin. She wore a cream-colored coat and carried a brown leather satchel. As she passed the alley, she saw him. Not glanced, not noticed, saw him. Ethan looked up. Their eyes met. He quickly looked down, embarrassed. Most people either looked away or stared with judgment. For the first time in weeks, Ethan stood with purpose. He followed her from a distance, not out of fear or obsession, but curiosity. The library she spoke of was real. Big glass windows, golden lamps, rows of books, soft chairs, warmth. Every afternoon, he watched from outside. Inside, Sophia read near the same window, always with a different book, sometimes smiling, sometimes lost in thought. Once, she looked up. Their eyes met through the glass. She smiled, not with her lips, but with her entire face. Ethan's chest tightened. That smile, it was meant for him. He didn't wave. He couldn't. He was too ashamed. But he stayed. Hunger made you do strange things. One evening, while searching for food behind a coffee shop, Ethan found a torn backpack. Most of it was trash, but inside, a miracle, a notebook. Half used, and a pencil, short, with teeth marks. He took it, gently, like it was gold. That night, under a flickering street lamp, Ethan sat and wrote. Not poems, not stories. Ideas, thoughts, dreams. What if there was a way to help people like me who help themselves? What if we could match people who need help with people who have time? His mind poured onto the paper, pages filled with sketches, plans, simple diagrams. No one had ever told Ethan he was smart. But somehow, he knew. The next week, as Ethan sat by the alley's edge, shielding himself from the cold wind, she came again. Sophia. She didn't rush this time. She didn't ask questions. Instead, she held out a small paper cup, warm with steam. "It's just coffee," she said. "Thought you might like something warm." Ethan hesitated. It felt strange. Not the coffee, but the kindness. He was used to coins tossed from a distance, charity wrapped in pity. But this wasn't that. This was different. He took the cup, his fingers trembling as the heat seeped into his frozen skin. "Thank you," he whispered. Sophia sat down beside him, on the dirty curb, her designer coat brushing against stained concrete, without hesitation. For several moments, they just sat there, sipping in silence. The city buzzed around them, but for Ethan, it faded. For the first time in what felt like years, he felt something human. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, barely audible. She turned to him, her expression calm, but there was a flicker in her eyes. "Because I know what it's like to be on the edge of being forgotten." Ethan looked at her, confused. She looked perfect, well-dressed, confident, graceful. But in her voice, he heard something raw, something real. "You don't look like someone who's been through that," he said. She smiled, but there was pain behind it. "You'd be surprised how many people are hurting, just better at hiding it." A single tear rolled down Ethan's cheek. "You're the first person to sit beside me in over a year," he confessed. "The first person to look at me like I wasn't trash." Sophia didn't flinch. She reached out, gently wiped the tear from his face, and said, "You're not trash, Ethan. You're just waiting to be seen." And in that moment, he believed her. Spring came slowly. The streets were still harsh, the night still cruel, but inside Ethan, something had changed. Hope had taken root. With Sophia's help, he started using the public library. She had quietly spoken to the librarian, secured him a card, vouched for him. Day by day, Ethan read books on business, on leadership, on innovation, on resilience. He studied not just to learn, but to survive. He filled page after page in that tattered notebook. Sketches became models. Ideas became plans. One rainy afternoon, Sophia burst into the library, cheeks flushed. "There's a youth startup competition," she said, breathless. "Next Saturday. No entry fee. You have to go." Ethan froze. "I don't have anything to wear. I don't have a real plan." "You have something better," she replied. "You have fire." That Saturday, Ethan walked into that Monday, after his investor meeting, Ethan met Sophia at the same coffee shop where she first sat beside him. She looked proud, but quiet. "I never asked," Ethan said. "How do you know what it's like?" "What you told me, it felt real." Sophia looked out the window. Her smile faded into memory. "When I was little," she said, "my mom and I lived in a shelter. My dad left when I was 6. She worked 3 jobs. We used to count quarters just to get on the bus. I know what it's like to hear your stomach growl while pretending you're full." Ethan listened, eyes wide. She was just like him. "People think that pain looks a certain way," she continued, "like dirt on your face or sleeping on a bench. But pain wears clean clothes too. Pain smiles in school pictures. Pain aces math tests." She looked at him, eyes glossy but strong. "Someone helped me once. Success is never sudden." After the pitch, things moved fast, but not easy. Ethan landed a small grant from the investor, enough to build a prototype of HelpLink. But he still had no home, no steady meals. He coded at night, using public Wi-Fi outside a diner. During the day, he took odd jobs, washing windows, sweeping stores, anything. Sometimes he didn't eat for a day or 2. Sometimes he slept sitting up in public parks to avoid getting chased off. But he never stopped. Not for one single day. And Sophia? She never left his side. Every evening, they met in the library. She helped edit his emails, practiced investor calls with him, ran mock interviews. "You're not just smart," she'd say, "you're visionary." Ethan didn't know how to say it, but he was falling in love with her. Not just because she was beautiful, though she was. It was her loyalty, her strength, her belief in him when even he had doubts. One night, after a long day of pitching HelpLink at a youth accelerator, Ethan broke down. He sat on the floor of the library hallway, head in his hands. "I can't do it," he whispered. "I'm tired. I'm cold. And I'm not good enough." Sophia kneeled beside him. She didn't try to fix it. She didn't throw motivational quotes. She just held him. And after a long silence, she whispered back, "The world needs what's inside you, Ethan. You don't see it yet, but you will. Don't stop before it happens." That night, Ethan didn't give up. He gave more. And that made all the difference. It was barely a year later. HelpLink had grown from sketches in a trashcan notebook to a fully funded startup with users in 12 cities. Volunteers signed up in thousands. People in need were finally getting help, dignity, and connection. And Ethan? He had an apartment, a closet full of clean clothes, warm food, but he never forgot. That night, he was invited to speak at a national startup summit. Lights, cameras, applause. He wore a navy blue blazer, a gift from Sophia. It still smelled like her perfume. "When I was 12, he said on stage, I slept in an alley behind a bakery. I thought I was invisible. But one person, just one, saw me. And everything changed. Cameras clicked, phones filmed, investors lined up. Ethan had officially become a millionaire. But when they asked him how he felt, he said just one word: grateful." In the back of the room, Sophia stood near the exit. She wiped her eyes, smiling. Not for the money, not for the fame, but because he had made it. And the boy no one had seen now lit up the whole room. A week after the summit, Ethan returned to the alley. Not to revisit pain, but to remember where he came from. The smells, the bricks, even the dented dumpster, it was all still there. But this time, something had changed. A boy sat where Ethan once sat Saturday. Smaller, dirtier, alone. Ethan approached slowly, heart aching. "Hey," he said, crouching. "You hungry?" The boy nodded, unsure. Ethan handed him a sandwich, a bottle of juice, and a business card. "This is my company," he said. "If you want help, real help, I can give it." The boy looked up, wide-eyed. "Why would you help me?" Ethan smiled softly. "Because someone once helped me." As he stood to leave, he looked back one more time. And whispered, "You're not alone anymore." In that moment, Ethan realized something. Money wasn't the real success. Being the person he once needed, that was the real reward. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ethan met Sophia in the park. They walked in silence for a while. The breeze carried memories. "Do you ever think about that day?" he asked. "When you first saw me?" Sophia laughed. "I never forgot it." They sat on a bench. He turned toward her, eyes full of something he had kept hidden for too long. "I've wanted to say this for months," he said. "You were my miracle. When I was nothing, you made me feel like something." She looked down, blushing softly. "Ethan." He took her hand. "I don't know what the future holds, but I know one thing, I want to build it with you." She met his gaze. "So do I." And under the colors of twilight, the homeless boy and the girl with the kind eyes shared their first kiss. It helped link into a national movement. Sophia became co-founder, running the education branch, teaching emotional intelligence in schools. Ethan spoke around the country, not about coding or money, but about kindness, resilience, the power of being seen. He visited shelters, schools, and juvenile centers. And wherever he went, he always carried that same notebook. Tattered, torn, but sacred. Because it reminded him that greatness often begins where no one is looking. And that sometimes, the most powerful thing you can be for someone is the person who doesn't walk past.